Welcome to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. I'm Sharon, your resident skeptic who asks all the tough questions. And with me is Jennifer Neal, our manifesting maestro. Whether you're rolling your eyes or raising your vibration, we dive into all things manifestation, mindset, and energy from every side. Hit subscribe, settle in, and get ready for spirited debates, surprising experiments, and laughter on the journey to creating a life you love. Welcome to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. Today, we're going to talk about a really interesting topic, and that is why some things manifest easily, but money doesn't. But let's start with a little hello, how are you, Jennifer? What's going on in your life?
Oh, I don't know. Where do I start? I'm engaged. I'm getting married. I've manifested all of that. That's pretty exciting. But no, just loving life. And here we are.
That's fantastic. Now, some of you may have noticed that last week we actually, for the first time in over a year, missed a day. And the answer is really simple. I was in transit because I've been on quite a number of cruises since the beginning of the year. And as hard as we try to get this right every single time, I am jet lagged like you could believe. So, apologies for that little misstep. But of course, we're going to stay on top of it as best we can. So, today we're going to talk about why money isn't manifesting easily. So, Jen, I really want you to explain this to me because I think this is where manifestation completely loses me, and probably for most people, this is what they want the most. Some people say they can manifest parking spots or free coffees or random texts, opportunities, as you said before, even dresses or vacations. But somehow, money is a lot more difficult to manifest. So, if manifestation is real, why does it suddenly stop working when the thing is cash?
Because money, so the quick answer is because money isn't actually the problem. It's your relationship to money. And most people don't realize that they're emotionally treating money completely differently than everything else that they manifest naturally. So the attachment to money is so much different and so much greater. They're not all the same, even though they are all the same. Everything is as easy to get as another thing is. It's just as available to you. But you get hung up on money because let's face it, like money's a big deal in our culture and in our world today. So that's part of it. It's the hang up.
Okay, hold on. So I can accidentally manifest a parking spot because maybe I just happened to notice one opening up. But that doesn't mean I can magically manifest $50,000.
No, but you just said I can accidentally manifest a parking spot.
Okay.
That word accidentally is really interesting because the law of attraction, which is really what we're talking about, which is a quantum law. It is a law that supersedes all other laws. It supersedes gravity. It supersedes the law of lift. It supersedes every other law there is. It's working whether you realize it or not. It is always on, always, always, always. So whether you notice the parking spot or not, it doesn't matter. When you consciously go into the parking lot and say, I know there's a spot for me and it's right at the front and it's waiting for me. And I know I'm going to slide down this aisle and all of a sudden a car is going to pull out and I'm going to smooth slide right in. Right.
Okay.
Or one opens up and you go, oh, lucky day. And on you go. But it is always working. So I just wanted to comment on that little word accidentally because there are no accidents.
Got it.
Okay.
Unless someone's playing pickleball and they break their arm.
We're not going to go into that topic. There are no accidents.
Okay, fair.
Okay. But let me ask you something. Why do you think people can effortlessly manifest dinners, compliments, opportunities, invitations, wedding dresses, free things, clients, gifts? The list goes on and on. But the second the conversation turns to money, their nervous system changes.
Guess that it's because money matters, because money affects people's survival every day.
Exactly. And so that's the whole point. Money carries so much charge, so much emotional charge, fear, pressure, shame, identity, worthiness, status. Think about We've all done this. We've all gone to a party or a meeting or any kind of event where it's somebody other than yourself. And the comparison thing starts automatically, right? And
Okay.
sometimes you either feel more than, and sometimes you feel less than, but 9 times out of 10, that comes down to money. They've got an outfit that you like that you don't have. They've got a house that you like that you don't have. They're driving cars that you don't have, or they have a calmness, a secureness, a worthiness about them that you don't have. So people don't think about coffee the way they think about money. Nobody spirals because they haven't manifested a muffin today. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, that's fair. Go on.
But money, people watch for it constantly, whether you realize it or not. Part of it's this comparative piece that I'm talking about. Where is it? When is it coming? Why isn't it here yet? What if I run out of it? What if it doesn't work out? Like that energy is completely different than I'd love to have a muffin. Feel like a muffin.
So what you're saying is that people are basically choking the money manifestation.
Yeah, because the smaller things you are more relaxed around. And I would even argue if we go back to that, I accidentally manifested a parking spot, you're more relaxed around it because at the end of the day, you know there's a parking spot,
Yeah,
right? It
even if
might be
it's
at
at
the
the
back.
other end of the mall.
Yeah, it might be at the back of the Yorkdale Mall, but there's always a parking spot. And if there isn't one, you will make one.
Right.
You're going to be okay. So with smaller things, you are relaxed. Maybe not at Christmas at Yorkdale Mall, you're relaxed. But my point is, there is a relaxation around things that don't have such a charge to them. You're more detached. You're more playful. You're more open. But when money comes along, we grip, whether we want to admit it or not. And even the richest of the rich grip too. Like there's a person in my circle who is arguably a quarter of a billion, or sorry, a half a billionaire. And all they do is protect it in places that are not risky so that they never have to think about life with less than what they've got, even if it's just in a GIC at 4%.
Right.
So that gripping, that is fear. That
So I have
holding on, that's fear.
so I've got to relay this story because I was thinking about you as I was doing all the traveling that I was doing. And as you well know, I had a lot of flying, a lot of ships, a lot of trains. I mean, it was literally trains, planes, automobiles, and ships.
Yeah.
And with all of those different connections over the past 3 months, a lot of stuff could have gone sideways, including what's currently happening in the world today. But I sort of took on a bit of the notion of, look, it's all going to work out. A connection will be made. There's always another way to get from A to B. I'm not stuck. Worst case scenario, I have a credit card. I'm very fortunate. But I had a really complicated itinerary. And as I was saying to you before we got on this podcast, I was astonished at how well everything not only worked out, but also the tasks I had set for myself, which had to be done for specific reasons in particular countries where I thought, that might go sideways, did it on a couple of occasions. And the addition of a very delightful, unexpected friendship that led to an extraordinary evening on the rooftop of an Art Deco building in New York City with a beautiful skyline, a glass of champagne, and a view of the Statue of Liberty had me thinking about you because as I was going through all of this, I had that, I say, my travel meditation. You're going to be fine. Everything will work out. But I also see how it coincides, my meditation state, with the manifestation state that you're talking about.
Mhm.
I can see it with travel. Seems tough and a little bit woo-woo when we come to money.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so let's make this practical. Let's talk about dating because this is another hot topic, right? There's a bunch of single women in my life, and I was with one of them on Sunday, and she has been single for 24 years.
Mhm.
I think she's dated 2 guys in 24 years since the divorce of her husband. Her children are now 24 and 26, so it'd be 24 years she's been single. she says, it'll happen when it happens, but that's a quarter of a lifetime, 25
Right.
years,
Right.
right? Um, the person who is calm, she is calm now, I will say that. The person who is calm and secure and confident, good anyway, not obsessing every 5 minutes about where this next love is going to come from, they usually attract better energy. They have better energy, so they attract better energy, right?
Okay.
And so I'm a perfect example of that. I dated after I divorced for probably 5 years, did all the things. And then there was a point at which I went, you know what? I am done with this. I love my life. I love who I am. I love what I'm doing. I'm good. Well, then guess what happens? Tall, dark, and handsome walks in, and I'm getting married to him next Saturday. So the person that's triple texting and panicking and checking their phone every 4 seconds, they are actually pushing energy away from them. Money works very similarly.
So what I'm hearing you say is that desperation changes behavior.
1000%.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes. And most people don't have a money problem.
Okay.
They have a nervous system problem around money. And we've talked about this before. It's all about getting into a state of contentment and calm.
Okay, that I understand more because, people panic around money one way or another, whether they have too much of it, not enough of it, or just enough of it. There's still some semblance of panic.
Yeah, and here's the bigger insight. Most people already know how to receive money. They've done it before. You've received checks for the work you've done.
Right,
You've received money in a birthday card that your Auntie B gave you.
right.
You've done that before. You've received money. You've received jobs. You've received sales. You've received raises, refunds. You'll take a refund any day, right? You'll take an unexpected, "Oh, you thought you were paying this for the item? Oh, today's your lucky day. It's actually another 25% off." You'll take that. You'll take a bonus check at the end of the year.
Always.
Most corporations are built for this. They make you work the whole year round and then they give you the bonus. And it's still a question, but you'll take it. Unexpected checks, all of these things. The issue isn't whether money can come. The issue is whether you can emotionally hold the identity of someone who expects it and knows how to receive it.
That's interesting because I do notice that people can receive small amounts very comfortably, but larger amounts sometimes feel unsafe.
Exactly. And, we're not going to dive into that today because there's a whole host. We've talked about the conditioning of us, the
Right.
political, educational, societal, cultural conditioning of us around money. Money is evil. Nobody's ever good. You've got too much money. You can't be getting it from, good ethical ways. There's so much around the topic of money. We're not going to get into that today. But because every person has what is called a financial comfort identity. I have one. We've talked about this in the podcast. I was raised by a mom that was raised in World War II in England with a gas mask on her face and a rationing mindset and a bomb shelter in the backyard. They
Right.
got one orange a year. And so she brought that into our childhood. We got a jujube, we got two jujubes. Maybe once a month we got two jujubes because that's all there ever was. Meanwhile,
Right.
she had a stash of them under the couch. But, every person has what I call a financial comfort identity, a subconscious number that feels normal. And when life goes above that or below that, the nervous system just reacts. I'll give you another example. When I was running my design firm for 20 years, I always had, this is going to sound like a lot of money to some and not a lot to others. I always had $50,000 in the bank account, always. Payday came and took a bit out, or a client paid and put a bit in, I always balanced around 50 grand. 50 grand is a lot of money to keep in an account when you know it's always kind of ebbing and flowing. But the minute that account got to 40 grand, Sharon, I would panic like I was going broke,
Yeah.
even though I also had a $50,000 line of credit on that account.
Yep.
So we have a number that feels normal to us. And when life goes above it or below it, the nervous system will react.
So when people say I can manifest little things but not big money, what they're really saying is I emotionally trust the little things more than I trust the big things.
Totally possible, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole game right there.
Right. So how do people change that?
Well, you know, it's really easy. ask, believe, receive. That is it. That's the formula. But I know
Okay.
it's not that easy because if it were, we'd all have everything we want in our life. Sorry, but there's some landscapers out the back. Landscapers, right? Like, I came from a family. We didn't have landscapers. Can you hear the machines?
I can hear the machines.
I love that sound. I love that sound because to me, I brought that sound into my life. But we didn't come from landscapers. We never had somebody cut our grass. Are you kidding me? There was ego and pride into taking care of your own lawn, Jennifer, and to become comfortable with the fact that now that they're out there cutting my lawn, I can be in here having a podcast with you, right?
Fabulous.
So back to the topic here. How do we change the idea around money? First, we stop acting like money is separate from everything else. It's not. It's all the same stuff. Everything is atoms made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons. Everything is made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons. Money is too. So everything is the same. There is no separation. Money is still energy. It's all just energy, vibration, or frequency. All those words, you can just use one or the other. Money is still energy. It is still circulating. It is still exchange. It is still opportunity. It is still human agreement.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So the idea there is money is not separate from anything else. Okay.
Right. It's
That's
not
number one.
separate from the table. It's not separate from the chipmunk. It's not separate
You
from
got it.
anything because we're all
Secondly,
made up of those same atoms.
you are the same stuff as the pencil.
Okay.
It's just vibrating at a different level.
Okay.
And we're all vibrating at different frequencies, which is what makes us unique.
Got it. Okay.
But we're all made of the same stuff. That's number one, including money. Number two, stop worshiping money like it's more powerful than you are because you are more powerful than money.
Okay. That's interesting.
You have the most power in the universe. We
Explain
as
that a
human
little.
beings.
I need you to explain that one a little bit more.
Well, I don't know that we're going to cover that today, but
Okay.
we have talked about the fact that, when everyone in podcast says, there's this cryptic sentence people say, when you finally remember who you really are,
Okay.
it's Christ consciousness. Nobody wants to talk about it. So I'm just going to leave it there for now.
Got it. Okay.
But you know the saying, heaven is within you, the kingdom of God is within you.
However you happen to choose your spirituality. Yep.
I'm talking from the Bible.
Yeah.
That saying, the kingdom of God is within you, is
Mhm.
talking about the power I am talking about. But we won't get into that anymore today.
Okay. And third?
You are powerful. And third, start paying attention to where money already is flowing.
Okay.
Because, and this comes back to your parking spot, when you appreciate something, when you tend to expect something, you will tend to expand something. What you appreciate expands, what you expect expands.
Okay. That's interesting because people obsess over where money isn't instead of noticing all the ways it already moves through their life.
Exactly. So, people say, I never have any money. Okay. Like your wish is my command. You're the power. You have the power. Your wish is my command. While sitting in a house that money paid for, like here's the contrast, right? You're sitting in a condo in Malaysia that overlooks the ocean. You have everything you could ever imagine: food, shelter, clothing. I'm just using you as an example. Right?
Sure.
Financial security. You're sitting in a condo that money paid for. You're driving a scooter that, you're driving a Vespa that money paid for. You're wearing clothes that money paid for. You're holding a phone. We're talking on computers that money paid for. Your brain is keeping, but your brain is keeping track of the lack, not that what you have, right? So
Okay.
you have all these things, but somehow you keep saying, I never have any money. Bills are tight. Well, whatever you repeatedly track, you emotionally reinforce. And that's keeping the money at a distance.
So you think manifestation is partly attention?
It's totally attention. Where attention goes, money flows or doesn't, right? If your attention goes to lack, poverty, brokenness, money won't flow there. Most people direct their attention toward their fear instead of their flow.
Okay. So I still don't know if I fully buy manifestation, but I do think people have a very weird emotional behavior around money.
Okay, for sure. And we can probably all agree to that. And maybe the first step is starting to change our relationship around money, which is the first manifestation. You could say to yourself and write this down, I want to change my relationship around money. Why don't we start there?
Okay. Well, That sounds like a really good place to stop, Jennifer, and to get some understanding around why some things manifest easily, but money doesn't.
And maybe money just gets easier when you stop treating it like it's impossible. So, the homework for this week, if anybody wants some homework, is go write this down. I want, or wish, or dream for. Just use any of those words. I want to change my relationship around money for the better.
Got it. Well, that's great. Thanks, Jen, for your time again today. This is Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic, and we love to have our listeners contact us, let us know what they're thinking. We've got some special guests that might be appearing in the next few weeks, so stay tuned in. And Jen, thanks for your time.
Take care. See you next week.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. If you enjoyed today's conversation, share it with a friend, believer or skeptic. And don't forget to leave us a review so others can join in the debate. Plus, check out Jennifer's TikTok account, Manifestation RX, where she writes daily prescriptions for manifesting your dreams. Think practical tips with a dash of magic. We love hearing your questions and stories, so tell us what you're manifesting or questioning this week. Until next time, keep an open mind and maybe manifest a little magic.